Hello Internet, my name is the Golden Stalfos, and this is a Project for Awesome video. I've been a nerd fighter for years now, um, but I've never been able to really participate in the P4A in any meaningful way. I'm poor and busy and just not really able to help out all that much. But now that I have a YouTube channel, small though it may be, I've wanted to participate and at the very least make a video about something important. Usually I have a bunch of charities linked in the description of my video just because I think it's important to raise awareness that charities exist and need money. And I tried to pick ones that are about things that I think are important. But I didn't know if any of them were, things I could get passionate enough about to make a P4A video that's like any good. And I had basically decided that I was gonna talk about, how there aren't enough toilets in third world countries, because that's a serious issue. But then earlier tonight, I had to talk someone out of committing suicide, and I decided that has to be the video because, yeah. Now, this video probably isn't going to have any of the hard numbers about suicide because it's really not a numbers issue. It's a personal issue. Um, and it's a personal issue that a lot of people struggle with. So instead, during this video, I'm going to talk about three very important experiences in my life that have involved suicide and direct you to the donation page for the suicide hotline in America so that maybe some people won't have to go through that as much in the future. So the first is a personal experience. When I was a very young child, um, my parents were divorced and my mom was going through a lot of her own stuff that meant she wasn't necessarily able to be that much of a mom for me. And I had a lot of issues with bullies at school. And I genuinely thought that this was going to go on like that forever and that it would just be better off if it didn't. I was about 8 at the time, and I didn't make cries for help or talk to people about this. Um, I just went into the kitchen at night and pulled a big knife out of the drawer and held it up to my throat and thought that I could do it. I didn't do it. I ended up talking myself out of it over and over again. Not because I thought it was a bad idea, but because I was worried I'd screw it up and just end up maimed instead and have to keep living with some sort of disability on top of everything else. And that was the only reason I didn't do it. Looking back, there were lots of reasons not to do it. Life got a lot better since then, and you know, there are still a lot of hardships. And honestly, I've been in much worse places than that, realistically. But I've never been that hopeless um, ever since I stopped doing that. So, it gets better. Even if you're young and dumb and don't realize that there's room for it to get better, it does, I promise. The second time was actually my father in high school. So, when my parents first got divorced, I lived with my mother for quite a few, for quite a while. But eventually she remarried, and the the person that she remarried was abusive to me. Uh, as far as I knew at the time, he had never done anything to my siblings, and if he had, I. Mm. But but I thought that I just needed to get out of there, so I went to live with my dad, and I lived with him through most of middle school and high school. But we weren't very close. We're very different people, and he still had a lot of problems left over from the divorce, and sometimes made that my problem. I can't really go into all of the reasons why he was depressed, but suffice it to say, it mostly comes back to the divorce and the issues with custody that followed. I think there were multiple attempts, but the one that I was there for and remember was when he tried to take a bunch of pills, um, Tylenol, because reasons. It was really early in the morning, and it was really cold outside, and I, I don't know why he did it exactly, but I found him there, and I, I called the police to see if we could get him to a hospital and pump his stomach and stuff, and he kept trying to leave the house, and I tried to stop him from leaving. At one point, he just ended up sitting down on the porch and going to sleep, and he wouldn't wake up no matter what I did, and I was so scared and worried that he would just not be there anymore. And like, people were on their way, but what if they didn't get there in time? What if he, you know, he wouldn't get up no matter what I did. So I took the dog's water that was sitting outside and splashed it on him, and I'm sure it was very cold. Uh, at that moment, he jumped up and punched me in the lip, uh, which was fun at the time. But honestly, I didn't really care. He was awake and he was alive, and that was really all that mattered. Um, he ended up being in the hospital for like 2 weeks because of that. But he survived, and he's still alive, and that's important to me at least. Um, you know, even if things have been bad for a long time, that doesn't mean that they can't get better. You know, that there's no reason to keep going, or that no one would miss you if you're gone. And then the reason I had to make this video earlier tonight, someone I met online less than a week ago contacted me because I guess they didn't have anyone else they felt like they could turn to, and I had to talk them out of it. And I didn't really know how to talk them out of it because I didn't know them that well. We'd only met recently. Um, I didn't know where they lived, so I couldn't like send help to them, which was difficult. I tried to call the hotline and see if they could help at all. I tried to get them to call the hotline, and they wouldn't. And the hotline, of course, tried to help but couldn't really do anything since I didn't know where they were, or, you know, even have all that much personal information about them because, like, we just met online recently. And I'm not really going to go into her reasons because, that's personal. But the long and short of it is, it wasn't reason enough. It never really is. Well, I shouldn't say never. I mean, if you're dying of cancer, then maybe, but like, that's rare. And I mean, even cancer, you can beat a lot of the time. Like, a lot of people still live through that, you know. But anyway, we talked for a while. We texted back and forth. I kept trying to call her, she wouldn't answer. But we texted back and forth for like an hour, and then eventually she called me, and we were able to. I was able to talk to her until she decided not to do it anymore, which is good. And it's such a weird thing that because I don't really know this person very well, and I didn't know them until very recently. And my life wouldn't really change at all with or without them because I don't know them very much. But I couldn't just let them die, you know? And and I just think of all the people who, you know, need someone to reach out to like that, but who don't know anyone to reach out to, you know? I mean, this person resorted to reaching out to what is essentially a stranger from the internet, you know. But like, she didn't want to call the hotline. She didn't want. Well, she kept saying she didn't want help, but like, you don't call someone unless you want help. Um, but like, sometimes it can be hard to admit that you want help or that you need help, and I can totally see how sometimes people, like, there is that little part of them that wants a reason to live, and there's that other part of them that's just struggling and only sees the struggle. But I promise you, there's so much more to life than the struggle. It does go on, and there is meaning in it. And sorry, I'm just getting kind of broken up over this. Anyway, there's a link in the description to the suicide hotline. Um, I'm sure they could use more funding, and yeah, I I don't know how to end this video, man. It's such a downer. I'm probably not even gonna put my normal end card at the end here, but um, thank you guys so much for watching, and everyone stay safe out there, and don't die. You've got a lot left to live for. Um, Actually, my usual sign off sounds weird in this case too, because I usually say I'll see you in the next life. Like you respawn in a video game or something. That's the new episode. But that doesn't really work when we're talking about suicide. So I guess I'll just see you on Friday when I upload my next video. In the meantime, no one die, no one suicide. And go watch the rest of the P4A videos. I'm sure they're great. Probably better than this. Thanks.